Hey, it's Aaron. So in my last video, I said I was going to film a video and tell a story from growing up where I did a shitty thing, but I filmed it and I heard myself saying it out loud and I realized how bad it made me sound and how kind of pointless it was. So instead, today, I'm going to talk about our persecutors because I want to and I don't really need a better reason. Like, we all deserve to be known, and like other systems, they got like meet and alter, and like there are just so many of us that we can't film individual videos talking about ourselves, and just the nature of being polyfragmented means sometimes that there ain't so much of you to talk about. So I'm just gonna give an overview of all persecutors, because I am a persecutor, and first and foremost in the entire system, the people I'm going to care about first and look out for first are our persecutors. So, I'm going to talk about them. Right, so we've got 11 persecutors, and I'm going to do them in kind of groups that make sense. So, we got 11. Our newest one is Ontario. He's been a piece of work. But 8 of our persecutors live outside the fence, and 3 of them live inside the fence. So I'm just going to start with the 3 inside the fence. And the reason that some of us are allowed to live inside the fence and some of us are not is because those of us who are not allowed to live inside the fence is because we are a physical danger to other people in the inner world, and we're very loose cannons, and we do not have self-control. And some of us like don't have much empathy either, so which isn't inherently lacked to, or inherently related to a lack of kindness, but it can help. But yeah. So inside the fence, we have the people who would never really hurt anyone Alright, so let's just start with Caroline. Caroline is one of 2 female persecutors that we have. Most of us are male. 3 of them don't have genders. Well, aren't human either. But, so let's start with Caroline. She is a persecutor. I believe she's 17, and she lives inside the fence. And the way she persecutes is when she's fronting, which isn't very often, and she's on our list to integrate by her own choice. She criticizes the body. Her goal is to make the hosts feel as down about their physical appearance as possible, is down about how they come off to other people, because when she split, we were trying to finish up our senior year, and we started having dissociative seizures, and we started having them in school, and we were real worried about our self-image, and she kind of took that and was like, "You should be worried, bitch, and now I'm gonna make it hell for you," because that's how persecutors be. And really, you can argue against that if you want, but I'd be happy to show you all the ways in which I persecute if that's really what you're interested in. Well, actually, I wouldn't. I don't think. Nah, because every time I get all public with my persecution, the whole system gets in shit with other people. But right, so that's Caroline, and next is Scot, and what the world we come from is not Earth. It's a completely different planet that, don't exist, but it's kind of like a parody of Earth, because the hosts growing up, and to be frank, still now, are very logical-minded people. They really need everything to make sense, and so they there had to be a reason that some of their alters would be behaving this way, would have some of these traits, and so there had to be an entire world with entire different cultures that, to the brain's knowledge, did not exist in this world, that would make sense, and that could result in being logicked out, to explain the alters. So part of that is different geography, and we didn't have back home, we didn't have like the UK or Great Britain. We had, it basically looked like if a toddler took, like Play-Doh of Great Britain, like with Ireland and everything, like all the islands, like kind of pushed them together and kind of made them like smaller, and then like dragged with your grubby hands so it was down like off the coast of Portugal. And that's our version of the UK, and Ireland, and and so that's where he's from. So he kind of got an accent, but it's not like accurate to y'all's Ireland and Scotland and shit, because he's not from Ireland and Scotland and shit. But, what am I doing? But, yeah, and like, I honestly don't know what he does to Persecute. I guess he's kind of like that older brother that made your life hell growing up, which I've only heard about because I didn't have any siblings growing up, and I'm an only child, and the body is the oldest sibling. So I would just liken it to that, though. What I imagine that would be like. He's kind of just the older brother who makes your life a little hellish, but he don't front much either, so we're going to integrate him as well. And the last person who's inside the fence is Mania. Mania doesn't have pronouns. Mania just prefers to be referred to as Mania, or if you have to, you could say like one, or I guess Mania would accept they, them if that really kills you. But, Mania really prefers to just say Mania over and over again, which makes sense in Mania's head. It sounds a little repetitive. Whatever, I respect all of my system mates. But, yeah, and Mania persecutes by taking some of our fear of the supernatural and embodying that. Mania wears a suit from time to time, kind of like Venom, I guess, but Mania split before the Venom movie came out, where it just kind of encompasses Mania's whole body, and it's just kind of like this black, spiky, like, looks hellish. And Mania attacked Jesse once, and Jesse came out with a bite like in his neck and a gash over his eyebrow, which was kind of, I thought it was funny. And I don't know, it's kind of fucking hilarious. And Mania really likes vampires as well, and Mania is not integrating, at least not yet. And so, well, shit, like, I'm sorry this is getting a little long, but I'm trying to talk about 11 people here. But, so now for Outside the Fence, how should I do this? Should I do this alphabetically? No, because I want to talk about myself last. So I'm going to talk about Paul, Sarah, and Dodger. And Paul, Sarah, and Dodger are kind of like those people who live off the grid and for no good reason. They live in a tent inside with their demon dog. I do not like Dodger. Dodger is the dog. Dodger is a Labrador Corso mix, and Corsos can be very violent, and I can confirm that because just about every fucking day that I come out of my house and I try to walk my ass up to the fence to try to see what the fuck's going on inside, as you do, the fucking dog leaps on me. So you know what? Fuck that dog, and they're fucking integrating too. And that's all I'm gonna say about them. But, just to wrap up then, with our non-humans, I'm gonna move on to Grim. Grim is a Grim Reaper. But, what the fuck, Aaron? Are you okay? But, we drew a bunch of different heights on our wall, and Grim is 8 feet tall. Fucking, like, I approached him once, because there's this empathy quotient test online, and I scored a 2. And I got Grim to take it, and he scored a 0. And those things aren't accurate as hell. But I just think it's funny. And then he stole front from me and ate an entire carton of ice cream. And I don't think Grim has a specific way of persecuting necessarily, except for that he's fucking terrifying. And he just kind of does things without inhibition, almost like he doesn't have free will. I don't think he knows what he's doing, ever. And we're planning on integrating him as well. I just happened to talk about everyone that we want to integrate before I spoke about anyone else. So next, I'm going to talk about Ontario, and you met Ontario 2 videos. For fuck's sake, 2 videos ago. And Ontario is this New York guy from the 1950s, just like Jesse, but Ontario's he's how do you describe a guy like Ontario? He's kind of a creep and really rude, and kind of like rude, and we got into a minor altercation the other day, me and him, in which Ontario and Andrew have a really interesting relationship in which they both think that they have a lot of power over the other person, but I don't think either of them is quite aware of how little power they have. But Andrew's definitely the one in control in the situation. Sorry, Ontario, you're just leagues behind. Andrew's just better than you. But, and they were having, like, a staring contest like they do, like, daily, and it was really kind of pissing me off, so I said, hey, do you mind growing up and acting like, real adult men? And, and Ontario was like, shut the fuck up, like, hold on, it's like, man, you better shut the fuck up, because, if we was back home, I could have you killed for, that's not how he talks. How do you do a broken, hey, I'm walking here, eh? So, you want to fucking talk to me like that? If we was back home, I could have your ass taken out for remarks like that. You better fucking respect me. And I was like, man, listen, I don't think you're back home. And to be completely honest, I don't fucking care. Because you know what? You're here now. In the Persecutor hierarchy, I am higher than you. Just on simple fact that I have less instances, in a ratio of me, fucking up while fronting, because you fuck up every time, and I'm only at a 75% fuck up rate, so I'm higher than you. 1, 2, your little buddy Gray, the guy who served you back home, he's here now, and he fucking hates your ass, but he kind of fucking appreciates me, so I'm gonna wish you luck with that. And next time you have a really good threat, I want you to hit me up. Try and fucking touch me again and see what fucking happens. And hi. Tensions are high outside the fence, but we do love each other. But, and then Antonio made me leave his house. So, but, yeah, so Ontario is a nightmare, and he's not gonna be integrated. Because we make bad decisions. But also, he don't want to be, and you can't force people into integration. It just won't work, and it's really rude. And then I'm going to talk about Antonio. And this is kind of going to be a fast one. Antonio don't talk. Him and Andrew are brothers. What happened was Antonio's mother met this man in Spain. Yeah, in Spain. And had Antonio. And then I believe Antonio's father died or some shit. And I don't know, she's worked her way to Italy, or some man found her in Spain and then took her to Italy. I don't know, but they went to Italy, and Antonio's mother, with a man, had Andrew, and so Antonio, in Italy, refused to speak anymore. I guess it was real bad when his dad died or something. I really don't know. And he just stopped fucking talking, and also he was refusing to speak Italian because he really didn't want to be there. I don't know, 5-year-olds can be very strong-willed. And so here we are, technically 30 years later, and he just won't fucking talk still. And Andrew says that Antonio says, which is difficult because Antonio doesn't speak, at least not in front of me. Andrew says that Antonio says that he will start talking when the body learns Spanish. Because the body don't know Spanish that well. Yo quiero aprender. I want to learn, but we're learning right now. We're in the process of it, not just so Antonio can talk, but because we want to go into linguistics, and we should probably know other languages, and it wouldn't be bad to be bilingual, and why not learn Spanish, because it's a cool language. But yeah, so we're learning Spanish, and Antonio is being difficult about everything. But the difficult part about learning Spanish is we've got, there's a lot of different kinds of Spanish, and Ontario says he's going to learn Chilean Spanish, because I think his family might have been immigrants, like fucking everyone back then was an immigrant. And Andrew and Antonio, why the fuck Antonio and Ontario so similar? Like, names. Really? But, they did immigrate to America. Everyone gotta fucking integrate. But, yeah. So, all that. And then, the fuck was I saying? Oh, so Ontario wants to learn, like, Chilean Spanish, and Andrew and Antonio want to learn, like, Spain Spanish, because, they're, like, from Spain or some shit, and I don't know, guess I'll learn Mexican Spanish, because it seems easier, based on what I heard, than Chilean or Spain Spanish, so fucking Mexican, I guess, or just whatever Duolingo can give me, and then whatever I can learn from friends who speak Spanish. But, yeah. One friend speaks Mexican Spanish, another friend speaks, like, Puerto Rican Spanish. It's a whole fucking mess. There's so many Spanishes. But, yeah. And then, moving on to Andrew. Andrew is 30 years old. He, he is half Italian, half Spanish. Grew up in Italy. Immigrated to America when he was, like, 19 or something, I don't know. And, yeah, so all that shit was happening, and he's complicated. He is the boss, really, of all of the Persecutors. He's the one who makes the Persecutor rules, which, like, don't make much sense to other Persecutors that I've spoken to. Like, Persecutor rules, why do you follow Persecutor rules? Well, because it's easier to persecute if you can control yourself. If you can control yourself to where the body's family don't realize what you're doing, so by only bruising the body in places that clothing covers, or, by not losing control in harm, or by making large drastic changes, by making systematic small changes to the body's life to make life harder for the rest of the system mates, not only are you establishing dominance by showing how controlled you can be, but still being threatening, it means that you can do more and get away with more, because no one will fucking notice, and if someone notices, they're gonna stop you. So, secrecy, surprise, surprise, is of utmost importance to us, and Andrew is the one who establishes that and who keeps us in check, and he's really the only reason that I ever shape up over anything. But he's been dealing with Ontario a lot lately, so he's kind of paying less attention to me, which is fine. But yeah. And then there's me. I'm Aaron. I'm 16 years old, but I was born in 2003, so we think I'm going to finally turn 17 in 2020, because when I split, I did think it was 2020, but it was actually 2017, so I kind of time traveled, I guess. Which a lot of us did. But I came from the future, which I don't think anyone else did besides Max, who's my friend from back home. But, we're gonna integrate him too in a little bit. Not this time. We're doing integration in rounds. just to keep a close eye on our mental health and make sure that it's bringing us the increased functionality that we're looking for. But we're planning on integrating him later if it starts working out, because he expressed interest in that. But, yeah, so I'm kind of an asshole. My whole thing with persecuting and with everything in my, like, every interaction and every relationship I have with people is I want people to know that I am a force to be reckoned with, that I have levels of power that they might not expect from a 16-year-old, and that nothing can fucking hurt me or touch me unless I want it to. And who wants to get hurt? So I just don't get hurt. I don't really have triggers. Stuff that triggers me to front would be like physical injury. But I can refuse to go if I really want to, like back when we was having dissociative seizures. Us as persecutors, we would get called to front in a way that you can only really understand if that's how it works for your system as well. Because we were slamming our head onto the floor, I would get called to front, and I would just be like, fuck no, because we're seasoned. So I would just not go. I'm very good at... Okay, so Jesse can more or less control front, except for he can't stop me or Andrew from fronting, and he probably can't stop Antonio or Grim from fronting either, but we've never seen them go to front. So, yeah. But Jesse cannot stop me or Andrew from fronting, and Andrew can stop me from fronting, but he's the only one who can. If I want to front, I will front, and I cannot be stopped. And I do what I want. And I've gotten us into a lot of shit for me saying I do what I want, but you know what? We aren't losing much over that, so I'm just going to keep saying it until it proves to actually cause some real consequences. But, yeah, so I've covered all of the persecutors, and we do have other people in the system who hang out around us a lot. Like, there's Jackson and Delaware. To be honest, we've seen Scratch hanging around the fence. Graham has become rather attached to me lately. I don't think y'all know Graham very well, which, you know, it's a little weird to me, just because he's so prevalent in my system and in my life. But, and he used to front quite a bit, but he's stopped fronting for the time being because we lost the ability to take care of ourselves and eat frequently, and some of us have issues with our blood sugar dropping, so he hasn't been fronting lately just so that we don't have any, like, health crises. Which, our blood sugar never really drops that low. It only gets, like, 40 or 50 at its lowest. But, so there's Graham, who hangs out quite a bit around the persecutors. And there's Jackson and Delaware. And then with Jackson comes Robbie and Tonka, who are his pets. And then Max hangs out around the persecutors a lot. And then Arlet does as well, because Scot's his brother. But, like, there's really no point in going into all of them right now because we're going to integrate quite a few people. But, anyways, my goal was just to make sure that all y'all knew who all the persecutors were before anyone else could really talk about any other big groups of people. So, that's that, really. And I'll see you around. Bye-bye.